those deaths.
Yeah, a tragic day here, Derek. There were several water rescues happening throughout the day here in Grand Haven. Now, this despite the fact that red flags were out warning people about the dangerous conditions in the water. Sadly, as you mentioned, 2 people are dead after going in the water. Another person is in serious condition. 2 others are stable, recovering from their near drowning experience.
If you don't know what you're doing, yeah, it can be dangerous.
Also dangerous, even if you do. Wicked waves, red flags on Lake Michigan throughout a hot Sunday. Packed beaches in Grand Haven on the last day of the Coast Guard Festival. Authorities say their first rescue was just after noon at the State Park Pavilion. Bystanders forming a human chain to find 64-year-old David Naffel of Wyoming. But despite CPR attempts, he didn't survive.
There was a human chain down that way, there was 2 down that way, and then there was 1 down that way. And pretty much everybody was just linking arms and slowly walking out as far as they could.
Another emergency around 3:30, a 46-year-old Alto man pulled from the water, now in serious condition. Then just minutes later, 5 people reported struggling in the water, including a 20-year-old Lansing man and a 17-year-old girl. The Lansing man did not survive, despite again human chain rescue efforts by authorities and bystanders.
The taller people were out further and the shorter people were in, just so that nobody was getting waves over their head or anything.
Grand Haven Public Safety says more than 20 firefighters and officers were assigned to rescue crews as continued distress calls came in this afternoon, chaotic and scary for beachgoers.
Everybody was just standing around and there's carts going back and forth looking for people.
Ultimately, both the City Beach and Grand Haven State Park, along with the pier, were closed. Again, 2 people are dead. 1 person in serious condition. Other 2 people are in stable condition following a series of emergency rescues in the waters here in Grand Haven. Now, since we've been out here, we did notice a very strong police presence during the day with officers patrolling the beach, keeping a sharp eye on the waters. In Grand Haven, Michael Dupre, Fox 17 News.
Certainly.
Shelter there with how people are coping with the loss of their homes and also their pets as well in some cases, Michael.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation. We're here at the Covenant Hope Church, which has opened its doors to people and pets displaced by the fire. Now, right now, there are several animals who are staying outside in cages donated by the Red Cross. There are lots of other animals who are staying at a nearby animal shelter. Now, you can just imagine what's going through the minds of the people who have lost everything from this fire. And in many instances, they are just suffering also by not knowing the fate of their pets. Sunday night's fire devastated the village and apartments in Battle Creek. And while firefighters worked to save the residents, they also searched for pets in the flames.
Several people there had animals, and people were so upset. And the firemen were going back in trying to get people's pets. I mean, they were going back in just for pets.
Wendy Ryan says there are about 30 animals living at the apartments, and that despite their heroic efforts, firefighters told her they weren't able to rescue all the pets, and a few animals died in the fire. And many of those that did survive are scared and confused.
The first they're ripped out of their house, now he's wondering why he's stuck in a cage outside. You know, they only have so much understanding, but all of a sudden now everything, like you said, everything they've ever known is gone.
Wendy has lived at the Village Inn apartments for a few years. She has 3 children who all made it out safely. Right now, one of her cats is being held in a kennel outside of the Covenant Hope Church, along with other pets displaced by the fire. The others remain unaccounted for. And when it comes to her 2 dogs, her smaller one made it out okay, but she got a real scare with her older beagle named Lexi.
They went back in for the dog but couldn't find her. And so that's why we didn't have her today. And I didn't know if she had died or what. So, but today they found her.
And now Lexi is at the Calhoun County Animal Center as Wendy tries to find a temporary foster parent to care for her.
And she is 17 and she is very hard of hearing and she doesn't see well. So she's probably wondering what is going on.
But she is safe.
Yeah, and I've had her since she was a puppy. So It's just really hard.
Wendy's cell phone is still in the burned apartment, and she can't even drive to see her dog Lexi since her car was ruined from the fire. So now she has this message for anyone watching.
If anybody is willing to take on an elderly dog and help, that would be really wonderful. And as soon as we could take her back, we would. She sleeps a lot. She needs somewhere to be comfortable and loved.
Yeah, so there are a lot of animals who need help. If you or you know anyone who may want to help any of the displaced animals, you can contact the Calhoun County Animal Center or the American Red Cross. Now, as for the cause of that fire, it remains under investigation. Live in Battle Creek, Michael Dupre, Fox 17 News.
All right, Michael. Running for governor.
Fox 17's Michael Dupre joining us live from there now with more on the message they are trying to drive home. Michael.
Well, yeah, Janice and Derek, the park behind me may be empty now, but it was quite the spectacle just a couple of hours ago. You know, a lot of people showing up for this event tonight, but last year was actually the first year for the Progressives in the Park event. And to keep the ball rolling, organizers decided to do it again. And with just a few months left until the November election, well, there's a lot going on and a lot riding on it. So hundreds of people showed up to listen to Democratic leaders explain why voting progressive is the way to go. Focusing on issues that will affect the future of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer spoke passionately about why she's the right choice for Michigan's next governor.
This is what we see all across the state. People are turning out because they're frustrated because our roads are tearing up our cars, our schools are not getting our kids prepared, and too many of us can't drink the water coming out of our taps.
In her mission to turn Michigan blue, Whitmer says Michigan needs a governor who can get things done.
We see crowds bigger everywhere we go than anything that we expect, and it tells me that we've got a real opportunity here. I think the unity on the Democratic side versus the continuous fighting on the Republican side means that we're really in a position to make sure we have a platform that people can find their way to, because this is about solving problems.
Some of the things that she's running on include, of course, fixing the roads. She wants to improve the quality of affordable health care and improve education, all topics the crowd of hundreds cheered for.
Well, they're fired up, and I think we saw that last Tuesday with this record turnout. We're primed, I think, for a great momentum going into November, but we take it seriously. We're showing up, and we're going to do the work.
Also taking the stage Tuesday night, Dana Nessel, who won the Michigan Democratic Party endorsement for Attorney General. She's been campaigning alongside Whitmer's former opponent, Abdul Al-Said, and she said she hopes she and Whitmer can work together if they're both elected.
The more people that we have involved, the more people we have going out to the polls, the more democratic our state is going to be.
Nessel is a graduate of the University of Michigan and has nearly 25 years of legal experience. And she knows what the first thing she'd do if elected the next Attorney General.
I'm shutting down Line 5. That's the first thing on my list. That's the first thing on my agenda. We are looking at $6.3 billion in economic damages in the state. Millions of people being deprived of safe, clean drinking water. We need to shut it down, and we need to do it as soon as possible.
All right, and on the Republican side, tomorrow, Attorney General Bill Schuette, who won his party's nomination, plans on making a major announcement at several events across the state. The first is happening in Kent County at 9 a.m., and we'll, of course, make sure to let you know what he says. Also, Schuette and Whitmer are planning on facing off in 3 debates before November's big election. Also, that's something that Whitmer says that she's looking forward to. Live in Grand Rapids, Michael Dupre, Fox 17 News.
Blocked out of her wheelchair-accessible van.
Fox 17's Michael Dupre has more now on her message to other drivers tonight. Michael, she is not happy about this.
Not at all, Janice and Derek. It's extremely frustrating for Patricia Turpis, who's been in a wheelchair for decades now. She makes frequent trips around town and to the doctors and says she just can't understand why people are parking on the blue lines, preventing her and others with disabilities from getting back into their vehicles.
It's very frustrating.
Patricia Turpis suffered a severe spinal cord injury in a car crash in 1973. She needs a wheelchair to help her get around. Her van has a ramp. A ramp that needs to extend 8 feet for her to get in and out of the vehicle.
I've had issues with people parking right in the striped lines, which is not a parking spot. That is the overflow for people with a van like mine.
Drivers sometimes park on the blue lines next to the handicapped spots, something Patricia says makes her see red.
So I went and paid $40 to have a magnetic sign. Can you see how big that sign is on the side of my door? And people still don't see it.
She says in the last 3 years, she's been blocked 12 times because someone parked too close.
Yeah, it says right on the sign, please allow 8 feet. They're not aware of how you're supposed to park in those handicapped parking spots.
Patricia says during a recent trip to the doctor's office, the same thing prevented her from leaving.
I had to wait 20 minutes before she came out, and she moved her car, and I didn't say anything to her.
Did she say something like she was sorry?
She did not. She didn't even acknowledge me.
A similar situation at a Walmart parking lot last week.
She had plenty of room, but she didn't park on her lines correctly. She came out, and I explained to her what happened, you know, why I can't get into my van, and she wasn't very happy with me. She didn't say a word.
To try and stop these types of encounters, Patricia has made these flyers to put on cars that park too close. She wants the public to be aware of the rules and simply be courteous to those with disabilities and special needs.
Give me that 8 feet, that's all I ask. You know, and I'd like to maintain my independence as long as possible.
Now, Patricia has asked law enforcement for help. Michigan State Police tell us that they are going to keep a close eye on handicapped parking lane violators. And if you get caught in one without a proper plate and plaque, well, it's a $180 fine. So pay attention to those blue lines.
And it's not just the length of the ramp.